Okay, everyone seated. It's 12 o'clock. It is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Asim Shah. I'm a psychiatrist by profession, and I am the current chair of Mental Health America. I think this is my third time to be chair, and I'm proud to be the chair of Mental Health America. Welcome, and thank you for coming to this luncheon. So, Mental Health America has been here for about 70 years. It was founded by Hogg 70 years ago in 1954. And this award is in actually recognition of Hogg. Round of applause for Hogg. Actually, I recall I was here on stage myself maybe 3 years ago receiving this award. So this is really a very prestigious award when it comes to mental health in the state of Texas. Today, we have a very prestigious person who's going to be receiving the award pretty soon. But before we go into that, many things have changed since the pandemic. So what has changed since pandemic and why we are talking about these things? Pre-pandemic, if you think of state of Texas, maybe the rate of depression in kids or in children was about 12.9% or so. But now, post-pandemic, it's about 25%. It's kind of doubled. So that has changed. Another thing which we have found sort of in the last few years is that we used to think of seasonal affective disorder. We used to think that it happens in winter months. But lately, we have been seeing more hot months. And we are also noticing that extreme heat can affect mental health. So we are seeing more and more emergency room visits in extreme heat months. So we are seeing actually over 10% more emergency room visits in extreme heat months. So a little bit variation of seasonal affective disorder during the extreme heat months. We are seeing that also. Another thing we are seeing, which is that Texas is somewhat underrepresented when it comes to, or undertreated when it comes to kids' mental health. Texas is not one of the best states when it comes to treatment of healthcare, or when it comes to mental health. Texas is actually one of the last states, unfortunately. But Mental Health America is doing a great job when it comes to training people in terms of kids' mental health, when it comes to advocating for them, and when it comes to collaborating with different agencies. So kudos to Mental Health America for that. Why are we focusing on kids? The reason we are focusing on kids, adolescent, is about half of, or about 1/3 of the illnesses, mental health illnesses, start before the age of 14. About half of them start before the age of 18. So truly, if you're thinking of mental illness, you have to think about and start doing some intervention at an early age. That's very important. Now, a fact which is interesting, but really not that interesting. Dallas is truly on top, but from the bottom, really, in terms of mental health. So if you look at mental health services, or if you look at which city is at the bottom of mental health in the whole country, according to a survey by Certapet, Dallas is the last. But don't be surprised, Houston is the second last. Second last. And Dallas and Houston are by the margin of points only. Why is that? Why is that? That is because we have a lot of mentally ill patients in jail. The number of prescriptions, or the rate of prescriptions, are much more expensive in our city, and the providers are not available, and if they're available, they don't take insurances. All those factors, take part into that. So the reason I mention that is that there are people here who are interested in mental health, people here who will support mental health, and I want people to know and think that mental health is an important aspect. And if we don't support mental health, we need to start doing that today. So that's the reason I want you to know that Houston is not far from being the worst, and we need to improve that. Any guesses which city is the best when it comes to mental health? Whoever gives the answer can have my meal also. Maybe you don't want to have my meal, but no answers? Actually, it's Denver. It's Denver. So I surprise people here, right? So I'm going to eat my own meal, I guess, right? Okay, good. Okay. So thank you for being here. If we have any elected officials, we welcome them and welcome them for their services also, and thank them for their services. And again, while we are waiting for the program to start, please enjoy your lunch. This is time for lunch. And thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of this occasion. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, mental health advocates and honored guests. We're going to try to keep the program moving. We know a lot of folks need to be out of here on time. So thank you all for your attention. I'm just taking a moment to look at this room. This is the first luncheon that we have sold out since we started this in 2017. Thank you all so much for being here today. My name is Renee Vania-Tomczak, and I am the President and CEO of Mental Health America of Greater Houston. Mental health touches every corner of our lives, and your presence is a powerful statement of support, so thank you again. As our program begins, I'd like to thank our incredible host committee for your exceptional efforts to make today a memorable event. And so many of you are here with us today, so thank you all for being here. Next, I'd like to ask members of our board of directors and our staff to stand and be recognized. Your collective expertise and empathy are the foundation of our objective to empower the community to live healthier lives. And we're so grateful for you. I think actually the staff may be in the registration area, but I hope they heard, though I see a few of you here. All right. Of course, this event would not be possible without our sponsors, whose partnership has been an incredible gift to us. Please take some time to review the complete list in the program, but I'd like to offer special thanks to the John P. McGovern Foundation, the Joan and Stanford Alexander family, HEB. I'm sure you all have loved looking at the beautiful centerpieces here that HEB have provided for us today, too. So thank you always for your support. We have Bobby and Morton Kahn Family Foundation, Esther Friedman Family Foundation, Pro-Directional, Robin Reed, and Regina Rogers. The foundation of our work at Mental Health America is focused on unlocking the human potential to live life well. We believe that if we want to save lives, save families, and save futures, we must reimagine how we work to improve access to the care people need. Later this year, we will be launching Behavioral Health Navigation Services. The new program will harness the power of data and personal interaction to decrease mental health stigma and increase proactive mental health routines and support. The overarching goal of this program is to address the unmet need for children and families by creating an empathetic and coordinated approach to enhancing access to care and support. If you can imagine how a parent will feel knowing they can call us when their child needs care. The seed funding for the new program has been given by the Joan and Stanford Alexander family for which we are tremendously grateful. Joan and Stanford Alexander's commitment to philanthropy has been pivotal in driving progress in mental health initiatives. If you'd like to learn more or partner with us to bring this program to its full potential, you can check the box at the bottom of the insert in your program or find me at the conclusion of today's activities. I'd love to tell you more. Today, we are delighted to celebrate the work of Dr. Ann Friedman. To start, our honorary chair, Joan Alexander, would like to share some words.
In 2015, I heard about a meditation class being taught by Ann Friedman that was taking place at the United Orthodox Synagogue. I decided to attend, and the class was life-changing and life-giving. This was the beginning of my special relationship with Ann. On a professional level, Ann has always had a unique and compassionate way of validating your concerns and problems. She then gives you the mindfulness tools needed to rethink the situation and turn it into an opportunity for a positive change in your life. On a personal level, Ann is one of the most authentic and caring people I know. She has helped me through some extremely difficult times, and I feel very blessed to know that and call her my friend. She is truly a treasure in my life, a Houston treasure, and a most deserving treasure of Texas honoree today. If you know her, then, and I know so many people in this room know her and feel exactly the same way that I do. If you know her, then I know you agree with me. If you don't know her, you should.
Ann Friedman's journey with Mental Health America of Greater Houston began in 2018. Working closely with MHA's first director of school behavioral health, Janet Posmentier, the practice of mindfulness, relatively unknown in Southeast Texas, was added to our emotional backpack project trainings to support student well-being in the wake of Hurricane Harvey. But it didn't stop there. Ann traveled with the team for several years across Southeast Texas, and then in Florida and Puerto Rico following other storms, teaching educators how best to support student mental health. I now invite our co-chairs, Andrea White, Regina Rogers, Lois Stark, and Sylvia Wolf, to join me on stage to present the Hogg Award for Excellence and Innovation in Mental Health Care and Support.
Thanks, Renee, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andrea White, and today I'm honored to represent my fellow co-chairs, Sylvia, Lois, and Regina, as we present the I'm a Hogg Award to our dear friend. Collectively, we've known Ann for over 100 years, right, ladies? I'm so lucky I get to walk with Ann about once a week, and we talk about things, and I'm always learning from her. But I didn't know so much about her meditation practice so in preparation for introducing her, I called a number of her clients. I spoke with a woman who Ann helped to design a program for the unhoused. It's going to go national. They're expecting it to go national, and she sent me over reams of student comments about Anne, and I wish I had time to read several of them, but I've just chosen one, and I think it'll give you a understanding of Anne's relationship with these students. Oh, Ms. Ann was awesome. She was funny in the ways that mattered, but she wasn't trying to pander to us, you know. Like she felt a lot like your grandma that has known you for a while, but also like a really cool art teacher. Another client had tinnitus from the time he was a young man. It got worse during COVID. It got unbearable. He started working with Anne, and he told me that he no longer heard ringing in his ears unless he thought about the ringing. I talked to a lady that ran a hospital program, and she said, the world needs more Dr. Anns. But really, the breadth of Anne's work requires summary. And thank goodness we have wordsmith co-chair Lois Stark, who gave me this to say. Anne has done international work in Puerto Rico after a hurricane, training caregivers. Corporate work, shifting the culture of the workplace, medical center work, patients and doctors dealing with constant concerns, as well as working with the education community and private clients. So look around at the packed crowd, first sellout for Mental Health America, Greater Houston area ever. And as to why Anne has so many friends, now Anne, this may make you cry, so I just want to, Regina had this to say. Anne has an unusual talent for making everyone feel special. Her interest is genuine, and she gives you her undivided attention. Co-chair Sivia's comment was, she has a deeper heart than anyone I know. I refer you to the program to read Anne's professional bio and about her work at the Jung Center, which she loves. And I'll close with this. Not only is Anne a great teacher and friend, but alongside her cherished husband, Kenny, who's here, she's also a civic leader with a lot of impact in Houston. So my co-chairs, Sivia, Lois, Regina, and I, along with honorary co-chair Joan Alexander, and I applaud Anne for her tireless commitment to helping others. And we thank the Mental Health of America, Greater Houston, for recognizing her with this prestigious and much deserved award. And so we give you, you've already joined us on stage. We're leaving it to you, girl.
So I can't think of a day that I've been this emotional, so hoping I get through this. Thank you, Andrea. As many of you know, Andrea is our former First Lady, and she is a gifted author and community leader, and for me, a dear friend, as are the other co-chairs, Lois Stark, who dreams big ideas and sees beyond the obvious. Sylvia Wolf, who has more acceptance of adversity and zest for life than anyone I know. And Regina Rogers, who does more for mental and physical health in Beaumont and Houston than seems humanly possible. I stand in big shoes, once filled by Regina's mother, Julie Roberts, and by our amazing honorary co-chair, Joan Alexander. Who received this award years ago for her Stamp Out Stigma campaign. I first heard Joan speak when I was getting my postdoc at Baylor College of Medicine and thought, this is a woman I want to emulate. And now I'm blessed to count her among my dearest friends. Thank you, Joan. I am also fortunate to work at another nonprofit, the Jung Center, which provides classes and trainings to explore our inner worlds and strengthen our resilience. And I'm thrilled that some of my colleagues and corporate, nonprofit, and individual clients are here today. Thank you. The Mind, Body, Spirit Institute over there does great work. Ollie, thanks. I only wish I could have known Miss Ima Hogg, a pioneering woman who understood and supported what is essential to human flourishing, our physical and mental health. In receiving this award, I'm deeply honored. I can't think of a more important cause, and I want to thank all of you who have contributed. Ultimately, America's mental health is deteriorating and resources becoming more scarce. So I was just teaching in North Carolina yesterday where someone reported that the COVID trend is continuing in 2023. 2 out of 10 of our teens, middle school and high school, have thought about suicide. 1 in 10 has attempted. This is out of the CDC in August. So it affects every family. In fact, anxiety has impacted multiple members of my family. So while I'm a psychologist that had great training, in 2006, we had a pretty intense personal year with our house flooding. I had a bad health checkup. My mother started having brain seizures, and several other things were happening as well, and I started having panic attacks. My mother had had panic attacks, but my husband had never seen me this way, and he was going, "What the heck is happening?" And I said, "I'm having panic attacks." So it was humbling for a mental health professional to have a mental illness. But it ended up, like so many things, being positive, because that year I learned mindfulness. I've never had another panic attack. My anxiety overall is very low, and it brings me joy sharing these practices with others and helping them. I couldn't have made it through that difficult time of panic attacks without the most supportive husband I can imagine. He knows how to make me laugh and how to gain perspective. I love you, Kenny Friedman. And I want to thank our son Ryan, who flew in from Maine to be here today, and my sister Karen, who came in from California, as well as the extended family, our children and their spouses who live in Houston, my nieces, nephews, brother-in-law and cousins who are here today. You are blessings in my life. Will everybody in the family stand up, including Steve and Robin? Just stand up. Thank you for being in my life. Finally, thank you from the bottom of my heart, Mental Health America, and for honoring me with this cherished award, and to all of you for supporting such an important cause.
Can we give Ann and her family another round of applause? I would now like to invite our esteemed board member, Mark Freeman, who will talk today about why he serves on the board of Mental Health America of Greater Houston. And I hope he may inspire some of you to join us, right? We're always looking for great board members, aren't we, Mark? All right.
Thank you, Renee. And congratulations, Anne. Thank you for your work to build a stronger foundation for emotional well-being, and thank you for sharing your story. Did you know it is estimated that 1 in 5 children between the ages of 3 and 17 has a mental, emotional, developmental, or behavioral disorder? But of even more concern, 2/3 of those children are being unserved. Lack of access to support can have a serious and lasting impact across all areas of a child's life, and most likely will impact their quality of life into adulthood. Everyone in this room either knows someone or has themselves been impacted by a mental health struggle. People we love, people I love, have been affected. So why do I serve? My passion for Mental Health America is driven by people. My friends, my family, my coworkers, my neighbors. My passion for our cause is driven by those that need to find a path forward to get help and services, especially for children. Still today in our society, asking for help is often met with shame. Stigma remains an incredibly powerful influence that leads to suffering and silence. It shouldn't be this way. Our world is already complicated enough to navigate. Try to imagine what it must be like to be a child and to deal with life's challenges while suffering from a mental health disorder. The reality is, there is no other public health issue more far-reaching and impacting the society that we live in, more so than mental health. Yet it is underfunded and under-resourced. Mental Health America of Greater Houston is the leading advocate for changing minds and providing support. And now more than ever, we are listening to young people through the introduction of our Youth Advisory Board. This group is dedicated to promoting youth voices to learn more about their needs. The ultimate objective is to find new ways to improve the well-being of our youth and bring hope for a brighter future through innovative leadership. Because of these reasons, it is important that Mental Health America of Greater Houston continues their mission. This mission is to empower the community through mental health education, advocacy, and now connection to care. To create a future where mental health is prioritized and every person lives a life of dignity, resilience, and hope. The only way we can do this is with your support. If you're a guest of someone today, we ask that you please consider a thoughtful gift to the organization that is devoted to the well-being of all Houstonians. On your table, you'll notice there are donation cards and envelopes. If you'd like for someone from MHA to contact you directly, simply check the box on that card as you fill it out. As you leave the event today, there'll be MHA staff members stationed towards the exits. Please give those envelopes to those staff members. Alternatively, we've gone digital. So if you prefer to make that donation online, please scan the QR code on the back of your name tag. Together we can provide hope for healing. We can provide hope for health, and we can provide hope for the future. Thank you. Now I'd like to welcome our keynote speaker, Lisa Helfman. Lisa is the Managing Director of Public Affairs for the HEB Grocery Company in Houston. She is also founder and board chair of Brighter Bites, where kale smoothies are just one part of an innovative approach to nurturing underserved children. Lisa's story about her son's mental health journey is sure to touch the heart and resonate with anyone who has watched their child struggle. Please join me in welcoming Lisa to the stage.
Mons, I think I'm dying. Drew said those words to me over 2 years. Sorry, a little harder being up here than my rehearsal. Thank you. And thank you. I see a lot of friends in the room, and I appreciate that. Drew said those words to me over 2 years ago, and I still can't get them out of my head. Obviously, they're still making me cry. My kids affectionately, they call me Mons. I don't know where that came from, but it just kind of stuck. We have pet names for all of us. Nene, Drewby, Mons. We spend a lot of time together. We talk about the fun things, but we weather the tough conversations. When Drew was in high school, I wrote motivational quotes on his brown paper bags every day, and he told me how much he looked forward to them. I thought that I knew my boys. But in the summer of 2022, I missed something. Something had shifted with Drew. I didn't pick it up. We went on a vacation to Colorado. 7 days we spent all together. I didn't notice a thing. Drew was preparing for his junior year at Kincaid, and that meant talking to his friends about the college process, right? And any teenager at this age is going to Google that once they start on it. And he saw all of this information that these kids, despite these great resumes, they kept getting passed over time and time again and not getting into school. They had these great credentials, but they weren't making it. And somehow, Drew thought that would be him. Drew didn't have the perfect resume, but it was pretty darn good. He was this kid that was so well-rounded. He was a theater kid, and he did plays and musicals and honors choir, but he was also a lead on the varsity tennis team, and he had great grades too. And he never seemed to care what people thought, and he always seemed happy blazing this new trail. But the truth was, Drew did care. And Drew really had trouble thinking that he was good enough. Perhaps Kincaid is a little competitive. I mean, it is the best and the brightest, or some of them in Houston. And what I learned later was Drew was being bullied almost his entire middle school and high school career. There was one kid in particular that bullied him for being gay. But Drew didn't even identify as gay, but the kid still persisted. He literally threw corn dogs on his tray and started making jokes. He would pat him on the behind and ask him if he liked it. Can you even imagine going through your high school days like that? But he never told us. He never told the school. He never told anyone. And when he came back his junior year, already stressed about this college process, this kid was in his physics class. And so not only did he persist, but he saw him every day. And it got worse. Add to that, he had a hard course load, and he was in the play with rehearsals every night till 9 p.m. So he started staying up later and later to get his schoolwork done. He did say to me, Mons, I'm having a little trouble keeping up here. But I mean, it was junior year, right? Like, I even still remember junior year. It was a tough one. So I just said, hey, hang in there. You got this. And it was a few days later when these frightening words came out of his mouth. Mons, I think I'm dying. And I looked at him and I said, what? And the symptoms, they just kept coming. Mons, my head hurts. I think I have a brain tumor. Again, what? I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my arms. I can't swallow. I have blood in my lungs. The symptoms just kept coming because he wanted me to take him to the ER. He wanted a physical diagnosis for what was going on psychologically. But when he said, Mons, I don't remember who I am or what I've done. My brain is shutting down. Something's seriously wrong with me. Now imagine being a mom to a kid that's otherwise perfectly healthy. It was another level of horrible. I just saying that to you right now, it's making me cry all over again, as you can see. But at that moment, I knew I had to get him help immediately. I had no time to waste. And let me tell you, it wasn't always obvious, and it wasn't always easy, but I had these 3 steps that I took to get Drew back to the life he loved. And I want to share those with you today. Number 1, I took immediate action. I did all the research, and I surrounded myself with this team of experts. Number 2, and you talking about stigma today, I stayed open and honest with everyone around us. And number 3, maybe most importantly, and maybe I'm not doing a perfect job of it today, but I stayed calm so I could be Drew's hope through the whole ordeal. So let's start with the first step, taking immediate action, although I didn't even know what was going on, much less what to do. Early intervention is critical. According to research, the longer time between the onset of symptoms and treatment, the less effective that the treatment is likely to be. So as a parent, you play a critical role in this early intervention, right? I'm so glad that I jumped into action as fast as I did. I knew I couldn't let any more time lapse. I got him into a therapist, and that was not just once a week, but it was multiple times a week. I then called his pediatrician, Dr. Mike Chapman, who was nothing short of a saint. And he had every test run in the book, right? Like, we both knew it was psychological, except what if something was really wrong? I mean, his behavior was so bizarre. Maybe he had a brain tumor, a vitamin deficiency. We didn't know, and we had to rule it out. When the MRI came back normal, I signed this huge sigh of relief. But Drew was angry. Can you imagine? He was mad that it was normal because he wanted a physical diagnosis to say, this is what's going on. You're not crazy. He was upset. He just wanted me to take him to the ER every day to get a diagnosis. We decided to pull him out of all his extracurricular activities. He said he was overwhelmed, so I had to do something to stop that. And the first call I made was to his Kincaid dean, Dr. Shannon Hardy, who's here today with us. Thank you. And that was the first call of many to her, right? Drew, as we knew him, he wasn't there anymore. He stopped driving. He stopped doing most things. He was like this toddler that just clinged to my side, saying nothing was working. It affected our whole house. It wasn't just me. He has a brother, Nathan, who's 13 years old, and let me tell you, he did not understand it, and he did not want to be around it. And, you know, I don't blame him. He was losing all of this attention that he was used to getting. The therapist gave him many tools. It was also amazing. And one of them was Sky. I don't know if any of you know this tool, but he told him, Drew, look up into the sky and notice there's a lot of clouds. Some may even be darker than others. But if you look back up a couple minutes later, they've gone. They've faded. And if you stay calm and you take a deep breath, all these bad thoughts, they're going to fade too. And that was a great tool. But it didn't work in the beginning. Nothing worked in the beginning. He came to me and he said, Lisa, you need greater intervention. I can't do this alone because he's not responding to therapeutic treatment. So he told me we need to call a psychiatrist. I reached out to my oldest friend, and she recommended Dr. Kara Cahan. After hearing the severity of his symptoms, she saw him in 48 hours. We all know, sitting in this room, how hard it is to see any doctor in 48 hours, much less a psychiatrist. Dr. Cahan, what you did for us in those moments, still today, being here for our family, immeasurable kindness. After their initial visit, she diagnosed him with depression, but also acute psychotic hypochondria. Psychotic? What? Reached a level of psychosis because he couldn't engage in daily life anymore. My eyes started to well up, like they're doing now. But I simply asked, what do we do? What do we do to save this boy? And she said, we're going to put him on Prozac, and we're going to put him on 2 antipsychotics. Another moment of, oh my God. And she said, don't worry, they're low doses, but he needs them to make the Prozac work faster, as well as calm him down so he can actually get some sleep. And I trusted her completely, and I said, let's do it. And you know, Drew never argued. He never argued about taking the medication, because the thing is, he wanted to get well. He just didn't know how. You know, you may have this is a very educated mental health room, and you may have heard the term psychotic episode and know really what it is more than I did. But a lot of people typically associate that with someone disheveled or speaking loudly, right? But psychosis can actually look very different in middle school and high school age children. And adding one more stat to the day, I'm going to tell you that 100,000 kids a year in the US alone have their first psychotic episode. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and that means that identifying these early signs of psychosis are so important in getting effective treatment. When a child experiences a psychotic episode, it's not that disheveled, screaming, whatever you may imagine. They have thoughts and sensations that are outside of reality. They're also losing their ability to determine what reality really is and what it isn't. And that was certainly Drew. So I'm really glad that I got him the help that he needed, and we acted immediately. But while it was important to move forward with this dream team of experts, it was equally important to be open and honest with everyone around us. And that's exactly what I did instead of you. I was open and honest with everyone. I told everyone in our daily world, not even realizing this would create this safe and loving environment for Drew, but also us. I hid nothing from Kincaid, and in turn, his dean, the school psychiatrist, the school leadership, and all of his teachers, they rallied around Drew. Now, this wasn't easy. It meant me literally calling or texting them every morning, right? I see you shaking your head. Telling them how Drew woke up that day so they could adjust accordingly. Instead of making Drew take that leave of absence right away, they paused all of his grades so he could recover without pressure. It was absolutely incredible. And after it was over, they told me how unusual it was to have a parent be that honest and open about a mental health crisis. That oftentimes the stigma leads to parents being in denial, and they don't seek treatment, or they simply only share part of the story, again, because of the stigma. For people to help you, they have to know. And it wasn't just the school and the medical professionals that I was open and honest with. I shared Drew's story with my friends, my family, and my colleagues at HEB too. And with the exception of a few, there's always a few, right? Everyone stood up for us and showed us grace. In fact, HEB said to me, listen, you have all the time you need to take him to your appointments, and if he needs extra treatment, we've got your back too. And my family,
they were another level of amazing. My cousins Hillary and Blake, they had Drew teach their son tennis, this little toddler, every week, just so Drew had somewhere to go. And after every lesson, they ate with him, even though those conversations could be pretty tough. And my husband Lee, he took him to play tennis too, because that's just where Drew came alive. And he did come alive, even though he still complained about those physical ailments too. As we've talked about today, mental health issues can be very, very isolating. They aren't talked about as much as physical ones, right? The path forward, it's not well defined. But if you're open and honest with the people that you love, that are dear to you in those moments, they're gonna show up. They're gonna show you grace. And you know what? They're probably gonna tell you about their issues too. Because we're not alone. And your relationship's gonna become so much stronger. So while I had all this support, amazing, I'm nothing short of that, it didn't take away my challenge of dealing with this every hour of every day. While Drew was the one suffering from the crisis, there wasn't a moment that I didn't feel it. But I knew to get through this, I had to be calm and be Drew's anchor, so we had some hope. This third step of staying calm, that really made the difference. But let me be clear, it wasn't easy. How do you stay calm when you receive a text message from your child? And I quote, "Please come to school now. I'm not even anxious because I'm nearly incapable of it. I don't want people to see me die, but I want you next to me when I do. Please hurry." Or, days later, you get this text while you're sitting at your desk. "All right, Mons, I guess it's my time. Come see me if you want a last moment. My brain is almost non-functional. I'm sorry I was so shy as a kid. I'm sorry I didn't learn to have a good time management skills or learn to cook or learn to live life and just be me. I'll be your prince forever. I've always appreciated your support, and I'm sorry I've let this happen. Even though my head is so messed up, I can't remember things. I just want to let you know that I really appreciate you, and you'll be the best mom ever. Love, Drew." Imagine receiving that from your child while he's at school. It's making me, sorry, it's a lot. And this is not in the crisis. This is 2 years later. Your head hurts. You want to hug him. You want to make the pain go away. You want to tell them that everything's going to be fine. You want to run up to his school right then and do that. But the professionals say you have to stay calm. So I responded with this text message. "Drew, I've talked to the professionals. You are not dying. You're going to be okay. I'm going to pick you and Nathan up in a few hours. I love you." As I reread all of those text messages and many more, preparing for this talk, I marveled at the strength of those words. I don't even know how I said them. And I said them over and over again. You're going to be okay, Drew. You're going to get back that life you love. We are all on Team Drew. I just need you to get on Team Drew too. This constant reminder of how things weren't as they appeared, it mattered. They chipped away at his new reality that wasn't reality at all. And I stayed calm, and I used as much tangible data as I could. "Mons, my brain isn't working." "Drew, you just beat us all in Rubbing Cube. How could you do that if your brain's not working?" "Mons, I can't feel my legs." "Drew, you just played 2 hours of tennis and beat everyone on the court." Mons, I can't swallow. Drew, you just ate your whole dinner. Do we need to go to the ER tonight? Oh, I guess not. Over the years, I've learned that you have to meet people where they're at to affect change, and this was true for Drew. I accepted what he thought was happening in that moment, but I also calmly, patiently showed him a different world, the one he wanted, but he couldn't find. It was a Sunday in October, and I was cleaning up the kitchen, doing the dishes. Drew's sitting at the kitchen island, we're chatting, and he says, you know, when I used to think I was dying. Used to? Drew, wait, that's past tense? What? I can't tell you how amazing that moment was. I don't think I cleaned the kitchen at all that day, actually. It was just so absolutely incredible to hear him turn the corner. We got our Drew back, like something had chemically shifted, that he was back in our world. The therapist and psychiatrist had told me, as fast as it came on, it could leave just that fast. But as you've heard today, there's no way I could fathom that happening while we were in that moment. In fact, I'd been on the phone with Menninger the Friday before. We were talking about checking him in to the intensive outpatient program on Monday, and they said, let's give him through the weekend. Let's just see how he does this weekend. We'll talk on Monday, and we'll see where you're at. So I was prepared. But that Sunday, it all turned around, and we got our Drew back. As I've been open and honest with you today, I will continue to do so and tell you we're still on a medical protocol. And we had some setbacks, but they lasted a few hours, not days or months. One day, Drew looked at me, I'll remember, sitting in the living room at the card table, and he said, how did you stay so calm through this whole ordeal? And I looked at him, and I said, because I love you. And that's the only way that I knew to help you. Standing in front of you today, though, I don't actually know how I did it. There was days where I never got off the couch. I was staring at the wall, much like Drew did. Or I cried myself to sleep at night. But I never showed that side to him. And I knew that I had to stay strong. But let me just be clear, it just sucks to see your kid like that. I don't know what else to say. But I acted quickly, stayed open and honest with everyone, and I stayed calm. I had this North Star through the whole thing that Drew was going to. That's just because I wanted it so bad that I didn't see another outcome. And 3 weeks ago, we took Drew to college and we checked him into his dorm. He's at WashU. He got in early admissions. He never had one single problem with his application, probably also thanks to Dean Hardy. But he wrote his college essay about this whole experience, and he did it in the most beautiful and vulnerable way. Because now Drew knows himself better than he ever did. He doesn't let someone's words affect him like he did in high school. And he knows he's good enough. Actually, he knows he's pretty darn awesome. He's more conscious now of making healthy choices, getting enough sleep and eating right and playing loads of tennis. He pursues what he loves instead of trying to pursue anything and everything. And I asked Drew, just so you know, if I could tell his story here today. And he said, of course. He said, but I want you to tell them that I'm studying psychology at WashU, so I can increase mental health care access like you got for me. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your family's story of hope and recovery. We know we're a few minutes past, but as we close today's event, I want to remind you that our journey doesn't end here. The support and resources you've provided will have lasting impact, but there's always more work to be done. Stay engaged, spread the word, and continue to advocate for mental health. Thank you for your incredible generosity of time today and for being a vital part of this movement. We look forward to achieving greater things together. Thank you all so much. And if you're a member of the host committee, please come up. We'd like to get a photo of you with Dr. Ann.